Alright, we'll get to the next topic. Next thing that happened while I'm driving around the country as a New York City horse carriage driver while someone else is taking care of my horses. Central Park Conservancy is the main group that maintains Central Park. They're run off of donors. Like 80-90% of their donations come from very wealthy people. Usually people live around the park that just want to keep their park clean and all of that. But there are also lobbyists, that will give to them. And the way they're set up, some of those donations can remain anonymous. And we had the bicycle lobbyist groups that a lot of people are upset about because they're kind of just flooding the city with like bike lanes that often slow traffic and aren't really necessary or utilized that much by bicyclists. And we have a lot of issues with e-bikes and bicyclists, running red lights and striking pedestrians and things like that people are upset about, so they don't really want them catering to them when they're already not doing the right thing and they're not licensed, and people are all upset about it and trying to pass different laws to get a handle on that. But they've got big money, and some of those groups recently did a
Watch out,
study.
vehicle on shoulder ahead.
Okay, thank you, GPS. They did a study on the park drives, and the e-bike people concluded that despite all of the increase in e-bike deaths and everything, e-bike related accidents that struck pedestrians, and a lot of people are injured and everything, and there's been a big increase in that after running some pilot programs in the park. Change lanes here. They decided that what they need is more bike lanes for them, and even less room for the joggers and everyone else who enjoys the park. And so once they concluded this study, they decided to paint basically the whole park with bike lanes. And the public was very upset about this, the majority of the public, even the bicyclists, because it's really just made a mess over there for them as well. There's still technically a jogging lane, but what they did was they put one lane that's for speeding, e-bikes, pedicabs, horse carriages, park vehicles, emergency vehicles, and all of that on the far right. It just really makes sense because horses are slow moving, but that's where they wanted us. And then to the left of that, in the middle lane, is just regular bikes, and then to the left of that, you'd have the jogging lane. And it's not well marked. It is not well marked. They basically just painted bike lanes over those two big full car lane size lanes. And these are the carriage drives that, Central Park was designed to be seen by horse carriage from, that we've been using since the park opened, basically. I mean, there's been some different routes over the years, and, they eventually paved it with asphalt to make it easier on the horses. We were very excited that the horses had mostly rubbed off the paint from the bike lane in that lane that we utilize, and not so much in the left lane, so that eventually all the bicyclists will think that only the middle lane is for them and use that lane, because it is not safe to have bicyclists mixed in with the horses, weaving in and out, and between the curb and the carriage in that narrow area, trying to pass them on the right side, especially when they're making a right turn and they don't realize, this is just not a good idea. They come so close to the horses. They're now encouraged to come so close to the horses. They don't know the horses are supposed to be in that lane. It was just a terrible idea. The Central Park Police Precinct has been complaining about it. Because of this new redesign, they are really struggling to get to emergencies and get through the park. Bicyclists are just all over the place. It's really a mess. They can't get by anymore. They had no issues the way it was before. And it has not decreased accidents. It's actually increased accidents of bicyclists. It is a horrible design. Everyone upset. Everyone is asking for this to change, no matter how they feel about carriage horses. And the Central Park Conservancy had been working with our union, TWU Local 100, to try to get, some improvements made for the carriage horses. We have been asking for hitching posts for them for decades. When the city moved us into Central Park at some new carriage stands, they did not provide us with enough stands. So we've had to store the overflow of horses in areas that actually used to be carriage stands. Are out of the way and great for them. While that's going on, we've been, in talks between the union and the Central Park Conservancy and the Department of Transportation, all of that, about, getting us some actual signage there and getting us some permanent stands. They were talking to them about getting more water troughs. We did get an additional trough. Now all of our carriage stands have a trough. That was a whole big project to get that installed for us. So that was done, and Central Park Conservancy, was on board. They like us. They've always liked us because we are, part of the history of the park, and their mission has always been to preserve the history of the park. And, landmarks and all that. It's such a big deal to get anything done there. And they, and the whole park was designed to be seen by a horse carriage. And, so many people come here like that. We are Central Park, it's just not the park without us. And their public stance has always been neutral. And most of the people that work for the Conservancy actually had no idea that the head of the Conservancy, what's her name? Oh my God, I just blanked out. Betty Smith? Betsy Smith? Becky Smith? What's her name? I don't know, I'll update later. But anyway, she just came out of nowhere, all of a sudden, going against what everyone had been working on in favor of, helping out the carriage horses. Ignored that they get tons of complaints about the e-bikes and tons of complaints about the pedicabs clogging the drives and the pedicabs, breaking all kinds of laws and everything. Ignored all of that. Didn't come out and say, all right, we got to get rid of these pedicabs and everything once and for all. Sent a letter to the mayor and city council saying that instead they are now taking a position against the horse carriages in the park. So, the union is like, what the hell? All the carriage drivers are like, what the hell? A lot of their donors are like, what the hell? A lot of, people that live around the park that enjoy seeing the horses there, that were, wanting to support the Conservancy are now like, what the hell? The police department, most of the people that work for the Conservancy. So essentially what happened was the bicyclist lobbyist people and the animal rights extremist people, the ones with millions and millions of dollars, they basically paid them off. There were interviews done, and, the head is just sitting there unable to answer and respond to anything about the e-bike issues, about the pedicab issues, and instead just saying, well, there were 2 incidents where horses ran, recently. So first of all, that was preventable on your part. Had you given us the hitch and post we've been asking for decades and decades, the horses wouldn't have been able to run. And second of all, that's very, 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 very rare. The last time, what was it, 2007, 2011? I forget. Whatever. I've talked about that in other videos. This is not a common occurrence. But she was saying that, and it came out yesterday. The New York Post, who used to be in our favor, turned so anti-carriage horse because they just love getting clicks whenever they say negative things about horses, and they've been kind of writing that for a while. They actually came out, their editorial board came out and supported the horses, and they pointed out that there were, I think, ballpark 500 or whatever instances in the last couple of years of e-bike accidents, and so she's just going to ignore that and then point to 2 that happened with carriage horses, resulting in virtually no injuries. Only one driver who was not driving at the time, in an attempt to stop his horse, which he did, he injured his wrist. That's it. That's all that happened, and that's what they're going to go for. So the other thing she said was it's because of the bike lanes getting worn off by the carriage horses. This is not new. These have been our park drives for the carriages for how long? And all of a sudden you're just going to be like, oh, well, when we painted these bike lanes on the carriage drives and the paint came off, yeah, that's a problem. We should get rid of the carriages. Like, what? And then they were complaining about manure on the roads. So first of all, if you didn't have the bicycles mixed in with us, that would not even be affecting them. But second of all, joggers should not be in our lanes. Third of all, not like dog poop, you can literally just rinse off horse manure if you step in it. It is not a big deal. I've done a whole video on horse manure, so I'm not into it too much. Third, fourth, what are we up to? Our horses poop into an extension that drops the poop into a diaper bag attached to the carriage. And yeah, sometimes some spills out a little sometimes. So all the carriage drivers and owners actually pay and chip in for a guy to go around and sweep that up. And if that is not enough, because you can't wait for him to do, however many loops a day and come back around again, then maybe it's your responsibility to invest in some different type of sweeper like you do for the rest of the park. How do you keep the rest of the park clean? But this one small section we're in, even though we're paying to do this, are you going to refund us for, all our efforts to like cleaning up and everything? Okay, so basically, no good reason at all was given. Becomes very obvious this is corruption. They were just bought by these bicycles lobby groups who've decided to turn the carriages and go, oh, these slow-moving carriages haven't hurt anyone. They quoted public safety. Yeah, the thing that is the safest mode of transportation in New York City. It is not causing any safety issues. Yeah, it's too dangerous now, all of a sudden. So, yeah, that happened. So we have been doing what we can to get back at them with that, calling them out on this BS. I would encourage you to leave a 1-star Google review on the Central Park Conservancy Google business listing. It was at a 4.5 yesterday. This morning it was at a 3.4, and it's still dropping, expected to be 2 pretty soon. And the reason everyone is giving them 1 stars, don't forget to leave the reason, their stance against the carriage horses, which goes against their mission of preserving the history of the park and of not doing anything about the actual issues, like with the e-bikes and pedicabs and all of that. So go hop on there and do that. You can also leave them your opinion on their Facebook page and anywhere else it pops up. I've hit them a bit on Twitter. And yeah, I plan on informing all of my horse carriage customers on the truth. I used to tell them, oh, they do a great job with the park and all of that. I'm gonna be like, well, they're actually a little bit corrupt right now. They've been bought out by these groups that are destroying the park. And do not support them. Do not give them any funding. Do not become a member. And we'll see how far that gets. Yeah, I'm depending on the customer having my carriage or not, I do plan on giving them the finger or a thumbs down every single time I pass them now. And if they are watching, you should know this is why. This is why I will be doing that. We used to be friendly with each other, and not anymore. You come and attack 200 horses and think that you're just going to take away their home. Who the hell are you to do that? They have been living here and working here nearly 200 years, way before you were around, and you're going to come and say that you want to turn this into a bike only kind of park and just kick them out of their home, the park they built that was made by these horses for these horses to use. So yeah, that's really messed up. And you're just going to disregard the hundreds of drivers you're going to put out of work that, we don't mean anything. Oh, fuck, feeding our family or doing anything like that, Who cares about us? Who cares about what the mental toll on us is for that? Like, are you kidding me? You're just going to ruin everyone's life because, you know what you can do? You just not take a carriage ride. That's what you can do. If you don't like this industry and shouldn't be there, don't take a ride. I don't want you in my carriage. So, yeah, we're all pretty pissed about that. And this is all going behind the union's back. They didn't sit down with the union and discuss this or anything. there's easy fixes if those things are really issues. No, none of that. No, just decided to, get bought. That's it. That's how it works in the politics. So yeah, we'll be fighting that. And we're still trying to get this carriage ban bill to not advance to a hearing, and we'll be working on that. In the case that it goes through a hearing and passes in the vote, it's really going to cost the city a lot of time and money when we fight this in court, because if you actually read the bill, it's pretty unconstitutional. You can't dictate what happens to someone's private property, in this case our horses. You can't just, demean people and say, well, you can't choose your profession anymore, There's a lot of issues in there. So, well, it cost us a lot of money, a lot of time and effort with lawyers and all of that. Pretty sure we'd have a pretty good case to make there. This won't become a law anyway, but why make the mess to get to there? Yeah, so it's a lot of motion in that for everyone. And what else you can do is, I don't know how soon I'm going to have this up, or if I can get you the phone number on this video, which would require editing, and I don't really feel like editing right now, but if you look up Ling Shulman, she's the chair of the Health Committee in New York City Council. You don't have to live in New York. This is a tourist attraction. You can ask that she does not advance this bill and that she does not support it, that you support the carriage horse industry. And also Adrienne E. Adams, the Speaker of the New York City Council. Look her up, and as well ask that this bill does not advance and isn't supported. And you can ask all your friends to do that too. Just give them a quick call. If you do it after hours, you can just leave a voicemail. You don't have to talk to anyone. Email is okay. We've been told calling is better. I've done that all a few times. If you have the time, if you're able to get all your friends to do it, and then start going down the list, you can look up New York City Council members and get a whole list of them. There are 51 of them. If you can go down and contact the other 49 of them, ask them to support the industry, it'd be great. There has been 19 sponsors on the bill. It's just kind of been sitting there for a long time. I don't know any of their real feelings, how educated all of them are on this. Maybe some of them are just trying to quiet New York class that was harassing them by sponsoring it. Don't know that whole story with all of them, but would need 26 votes to pass. 2/3 majority, I think, would not be vetoed by the mayor, but hey, maybe he would veto it as well, because there's just no reason for this. You had a couple horses pass away at natural causes, and you're going to say hundreds of drivers have to be put out of work, and their 200 horses have to lose their homes, and you're going to destroy so many lives because of that. You know what? You could just not take a carriage ride. It's not a way easier thing to do, instead of letting us, do our thing. Yeah, so there's that. I don't know if you're watching this far into this. It's almost like 20 minutes now. But I needed something to stay awake and do while I am driving. And maybe I'll add in a few more things as I think of it.